Meeting call to order. Today is Tuesday, April 25th. Town Council meetings, Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. 6:05 PM. David, lead some prayer.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in a meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Amen.
Give that resolution for the lead.
Roll call. Councilman Lichardi is absent. Councilman Messier,
Here.
Councilman Bourget is absent. Council Vice President Williamson. Here. Council President Goslin.
Here, and for the record, I'm sorry, both councilmen have called me today with family emergencies.
Quorum is declared.
I'd like to make a motion to move item D. Oh, it's next on the list, so go for it.
Presentation of certificate of recognition to the town of West Warwick by Kathy Andriozzi of the Victoria Lynn Andriozzi Foundation.
Second, moving it,
Yes.
move it forward.
Oh, it's actually a
To move it forward.
presentation.
All right, well, to move it forward, I meant.
Yeah.
And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to have a few minutes this evening. West Warwick has a really special place in my heart. In 1988, we chose this place, I should say, as a place to live and raise our family. In March of 2003, it was also the place that my family suffered a tragedy of my daughter being struck by a hit and run drunk driver. But it wasn't our tragedy alone. It was one that rippled through this community. And this community was amazing. And they lifted us and they supported us. And even now, today is 1 month shy of 20 years and 1 month that this town has been by our side, supporting us every step of the way. And so, although it is just a small external gesture, I'd like to present the town with a plaque from the foundation. Hopefully, it relays the internal amount of enormous gratitude, that we have for this town. And it says, to the town of West Warwick, in appreciation of your dedication and commitment. And it says, recognizing there is a choice in every moment, finding the courage to make the difference, sustaining hope for the future. And West Warwick certainly did that. They gave us hope that we could make it along the way to the next steps. And then just in closing, I'd like to share a quote that has sustained me all of these years. And it says simply, when you come to the edge of all the light that you know and are about to step off into the darkness, faith is knowing there will be one of two things. You'll have something solid to stand on, or you will be given wings to fly. And certainly West Warwick was our something solid to stand on. And that helped us, and their support gave us the wings that we fly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Androzzi, words can't express enough, and the pain you and your family have gone through. And again, from the town of West Warwick, we're sorry for your loss, and we're always there for you. And I know even the chief came in and gave you a hug and a kiss. So I know West Warwick's behind you 100%.
And you continue to make a difference. And my daughter Abigail was in Tori's class back then. So it certainly has moved those children too. And they're 32 years old now and have babies of their own. So it's made a big difference, and you make a big difference going forward as well. So thank you very much. I make a motion to suspend the town council meeting to move to the budget hearing for the sewer plant.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Budget session, sewer plant.
So before Jeff starts, I just wanted to reiterate a few things, points that I made before the public workshop. Again, I'd like to acknowledge that we still have a relatively new team at wastewater. I call them the big three, and they've been a pleasure to work with. But they've worked diligently with me, Bob Savetti, and our finance director, Kristen Benoit. And I've been very pleased that they've done a comprehensive review, digging deep into budget operations, long-term strategic planning and preventative maintenance, which I'll call more short-term, with the assistance of Jim Jeremiah, to get a really comprehensive understanding of operations. And it's good because I get to learn along the way, so I appreciate that. But I also want to reiterate that collectively, I believe they're all believe fiscal responsibility and good stewards of the money that's entrusted to them is one of their top priorities. And again, for a second year in a row, it's drafting a budget is an extreme challenge, but they really jumped in, weighed a lot of things, dealt with a lot of adversity as far as like the way certain pricing has gone. It hasn't been easy, and dealing with emergency situations is always a challenge, but they've mastered those, and I think their proposals that they'll go into tonight, both in their own way, continue us on a path towards success, just to various degrees. So I'll let them get into the more specifics.
Jeff?
Good evening, council. Since the budget workshop, we have obtained updated information for next year's revenue projections. With while our billing software was being updated, it was challenging to produce accurate projections. Based upon our updated revenue, we had to make a decrease in our expenses in which capital was sacrificed. The budget is already lean, and we have to address significant issues like aging infrastructure, chemicals, and sludge removal. We want to make sure the facility is set up for success with adequate funding and reserves so that the town will not have to begin bailing us out in the upcoming years. Budget option number 2, we discussed as a $40 per EDU one-time charge due to the emergency repair on Water Street. The Director of Administration did some number crunching and believes that we can reduce that number to $30 per EDU. Using all the information available and trying to be financially stable, the facility has come up with another option for funding our budget. This is option number 1, which would be my recommendation, involves increasing our rate from $4.25 per 100 cubic feet to $4.65. The average household would see an increase of $24 per year. This budget would enable the facility to offset an emergency repair without utilizing our unrestricted funds balance and continue to allow us to be proactive with maintenance needs, be prepared to accept significant federal funding with us matching those funds, and being responsible stewards and managers of the funds and tasks entrusted to us. That's all I have for now, and I open it up to the floor for comments, questions, concerns.
The question I have, and you brought that $30 per year down from 40. And, the last time we met, you brought that one time. And my biggest fear is the one time next year is going to be the one time, or we need an increase next year. So if we need an increase, we need an increase. I can understand that. But if you can bring it down $30 per year for one time, and your proposal of number 2 or is $24 a year, that's $24 a year going forward. Nothing
Correct.
changes, right? So why can't that come lower versus the 30? Because the 30 is a one-time. So that's telling me next year, right? If we give you the 30 one time, you're going to be asking about $15 next year per year per household.
We may.
So again, why can't we bring the 24 out? Because the 24 is actually 75% of the 30. So you're already asking, so for the one-time fee, the one time, you're asking for 75% of it in every year going forward. So you're asking for that $30 one time, and I'm trying to just phrase this as easy as possible so everybody can understand. Right now, you're asking for $30 per year, one time. So every person who lives in West Warwick, who has an EDU, which is,
Not just West Warwick, but.
well, yes, but everybody who we represent in West Warwick will see a $30 one time. Okay? And then next year, you may ask for more, which I don't believe in. I'd rather see us say, here's what it is, and this is what it is going forward.
Okay.
Now, hopefully, next year you don't ask for more, because you're asking for 75% of the 100% one time. So to me, that should be about 25% over 4 years, and you should recoup your differences over 4 years, but that's my thoughts.
Okay.
I mean, I thought about it all weekend.
Mhm.
Again, if you're gonna make an increase, I just don't think you should ask for 75% of the one time.
The one time, may please correct me if I'm wrong, the one time was really to recoup the cost of Water Street.
Yes, that's
And then
correct.
as you dove into the budget, you realized that there were significant increases in our expenses going forward. So Dave, you're absolutely right. The 30 as a one-time prevents us from dipping into the surplus for this year. It covers it for this year. If you remember, we built our budget last year with the understanding we didn't want to dip into our retained earnings or surplus anymore, which is why we asked for the increase we did. We had the emergency on Water Street. We've also determined that our infrastructure is in dire need. I mean, I think Water Street sort of told us that.
Mhm.
That was a $600,000 expense, doing it on an emergency basis. We're going to have to, and we've applied for different grants and hopefully we'll get them through the federal government, but there's a match on that. So no one, I don't think anyone could sit here and say there's definitely not going to be an increase next year. I think that would be foolish and not honest on our part. So the $30 was a different thing than the 24. And actually, I think Jeff provided a comparison of where West Warwick stands with the rest of the state as far as what we charge. This is a $311. We're second from the bottom. Westerly is $306. Even with the increase to the $465, which is the $24 a year, we will still be in the bottom 4 in the state as far as what we charge. Many years we did not have increases, and we did that by dipping into what everybody here calls our rainy day fund. I know, Kristen, you're not thrilled with that because that's, but our rainy day fund. And that has gotten desperately low at this point in time. So kind of different. The $30 was looked at, and Tony, I'll let you speak, but and we were able to reduce that to 30 once we got actual numbers out of the system.
Correct. Once the billing conversion was
Correct.
completed.
So that was what was presented, and I think as Tony and Jeff and Josh and Jim all looked at what we were doing and what we should be doing, that 24 is actually a completely different take and way forward. And there's nothing to say that we're not going to have those issues, that we have an emergency and it's going to cost us $600,000 again. We need to do some preventative maintenance going forward. So comparing the two numbers, they're two different things. They're apples and oranges.
No, but what I'm making clear now is you're asking for, I want to make it clear, you're asking for a one-time of 30. But next year, you have a possibility of coming back here and asking again.
I would say a probability of a rate increase. I would say that would be a reasonable probability.
So what's the probability if you go with $24 per year?
So right now, as far as wastewater is concerned, we have some upcoming projects in the next 5 years that are approximately going to cost us around $7 million. The $24 is going to help us to try and save some money so that we can actually afford these upcoming projects that we wanted to undertake. If we do a $30 one time, we might not have to have it next year, but we might also be putting out projects that the facility needs to undertake.
And I think that's why after some thought and some diving into the numbers and what Mark said is true. This group, I think, Jeff, you've been here a little over 2 years and you have more, forget about Jeremy, he's been here forever, but you have more seniority than Tony does and you have more seniority than Josh. So it's a brand new team down there. And I commend the work that you've done as far as digging in and looking at long-term what we need to do. Would be nice to say we're not going to have rate increases. That would not be honest. I can't imagine that we could survive without, and our retained earnings are getting desperately low at this point in time for the size of our facility and what our annual budget is. So, and I think that's why the number one option has become actually the rate increase as opposed to the $30, because that is a Band-Aid to take care of and get us back to where we thought we were going to be.
Another key point, they'll probably come out in Tony's comments is obviously, like you mentioned, we're applying for significant congressional aid, which comes with a match. And if we, and fingers crossed with prayers, we're going to get that grant, but that comes with a significant copay, which if we took it out of our savings would be between a third and a half of it. So again, this is something that we'll hopefully hear about next fall, but we need to set ourselves up for success in having some funds for those 20% matches for the significant investment that hopefully we'll get from the federal government.
So my next question to Anthony, Tony, $30 per year, how much new revenue is that?
That, sir, is $568,860.
That's a one-time. $24 per year is what?
The rate going from
No,
425.
the dollar amount, new revenue. It's almost 80%.
as-
488.
As a one-time would be
No,
450.
it's not one time. It's
That's every year.
$24. yeah.
Right, so that would be what the average person, based on the average consumption, would see the increase. Overall, it would generate $488,640
Per year, though.
per year.
That's
Correct.
right.
This other won't be only one.
That's correct.
So my next question, obviously, be rate and a half, but it's $12 per year. So it's rate and a half divided by 2, so 244. So
Yes.
that's the question I'm saying is, we're asking for a one-time. Why can't we spread this out over like a 2-3 year?
I think what you said, what, like 12, 12.
Well, not even,
But,
just-
but you might find it'll be 12, 12, 12, and 12. And-
But over
and-
3
and-
years as opposed to, yeah, no,
yeah.
it might
So-
happen.
So
So my
It
concern.
goes to the same argument, though, that
That's
we don't
correct.
know what next year's going to bring.
that's correct.
So we're looking at long-term success, and I obviously, you can vote and we'll operate with what the vote is, but next year, the likelihood or probability of a higher one
well, here-
based on what happens.
that's the part I'm
We
arguing,
just
right?
don't know.
Right now, if you ask for a one-time, you're getting, wait a minute, you're getting $568,800, right? If you do the 24 per year, over 2 years, you're getting $976. So the odds, you should not be coming back before us getting another $420,000 next year, because you wouldn't have gotten that anyway, right? Because you're asking for this one time, and now next year, I don't want to sit there and tell the taxpayers, hey, this is a one-time, this is a one-time, and then next year, oh, we're raising rates.
Right. And that was a very good point, but
That-
chances are the one time was a rip the Band-Aid off to fix an immediate
Correct.
recent emergency problem. We're not set up for, like the councilwoman said, aging infrastructure, the likelihood, and to your point, you don't know if you're going to come back next year for another emergency. Our stuff is aging, and we need to do the preventative maintenance. And in order to do that, we need to have adequate reserves to fund those, whether it's going out to bond, whether it's co-shares for federal investment. And right now, I don't want to say we're dangerously close, but it's
The one disaster away.
it's not
Correct.
enough.
We're one disaster away to having zero in the bank. I
I
mean,
just don't believe in the one time.
well, I don't think, the truth is, I believe that it was brought back because it was presented earlier. I don't believe that, and I don't want to speak for you guys, I don't believe you're looking for a one-time anymore. You prefer to have a rate increase going
Yes,
forward.
That would be
Yes,
correct. Yes.
That'd be
Yes.
my recommendation.
yes.
Any other comment from the council?
Well, yeah. You have stuff you want to go through or?
No questions.
Anybody from the audience? Again, there's two budgets before us, one with a 30, number one is $24 a year increase. Number two is a $30 one-time increase. What's the council's pleasure?
The $24 increase.
I would say that that would be the way to go as well. Did you have those packets?
Well, this is the first hearing
This
on
is
the
the first.
new proposal.
Well-
So the question is, do we have to have a second?
That was a workshop.
We have,
That's
my
correct.
belief. Yes.
That's correct.
yes.
So the first one was the workshop.
So the new proposal is the first time anybody's hearing of it publicly.
Yes. Yes.
But we certainly don't want to come to the second hearing with two options, I don't think. I don't know.
Second meeting could be even a little more interesting because there could be two other council members here that have a difference of opinion with. I just want to point that out.
No, well aware of that. Well aware of that.
All right, no public comment? All right, all set with this?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we're going into sewer, right?
Yes.
I don't need that, just need a front page. Take it online, just. All right, we ready still? Still live?
Oh, yeah, you're ready to go.
All right, meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, April 25th. It is now 6:28 PM. Town Council meeting as a sewer acting as a sewer commission. 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. We already did the prayer and we already did the pledge, so. Roll call.
Council President Gossel.
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
Councilman Messier.
Here.
Councilman Lichardi. Councilman Bourget.
Both had family emergencies for the record.
Participating communities, Town of Coventry, Town of Situate, City of Cranston, City of Warwick, Town of West Greenwich. There is a quorum. First item on the agenda is the approval of the March 21st, 2023 Sewer Commission meeting.
Approval of the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Second item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the March 27th, 2023 FY 24 budget workshop.
Move approval.
Moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Good evening again, council. All right, so operations for March 2023. Our average daily flow was 7.5 millions per gallon. Our maximum flow was 16.5 millions per gallon, and our minimum was 3.6. Our CBOD removal was 96.5%, which equated to 3.3 milligrams per liter. And for suspended solids, we removed 97.2%, which equated to 2.7 milligrams per liter. This is the last month of not being in permit, so our limit for phosphorus is 1.0, and we achieved a 0.37 milligrams per liter. For sludge removal, Synagro had 366 tons, the landfill received 202 tons, so we had a total of around 568 tons. For sewer backups in the public lines, there was one on Kowalik Drive. In the private lines, we had 8 of them. There was Sycamore Drive, Betez Street, Fair Green Drive, Quaker Lane, Pulaski Street, Main Street, Providence Street, and Nestor Street. And we had one odor complaint so far in the calendar year, and that was on Astor Street. And no violations for the facility for March. And that's my report.
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, council.
Next is the industrial pretreatment report.
Good evening.
Hey, Jim.
The industrial pretreatment for the month of March. The significant industrial users, as I reported last month, Femera is no longer in business. They've shut down their facility, so they did not do any sampling. With regards to Amtrol, we did revise their permit due to management changes at the facility. With regards to the food services, Crumbies of Rhode Island is in East Greenwich Square. We issued them a new permit because of the new facility. We've inspected the facility and found that the grease recovery device was not operating correctly. And we did instruct the owners on proper maintenance of that facility. Dunkin' Donuts on Bald Hill Road is now closed. Obviously that is one we'll take off the list. With regards to Black Oak Restaurant, Starbucks, and Cozy Grill, all of them were inspected and found the grease recovery system to be operating correctly. With regards to the private sewers, East Greenwich Square cleaned their private line and it was found to be in good condition. Construction continues for Neon Market and Chad Bay's Ross on James P. Murphy Highway. And they should be continuing working on that. Plans were reviewed for Lake Taco on Tyoke Avenue. Plans were submitted, they included an outdoor bar and revised grease recovery system. The plans were in general conformance with the regulations and a letter was issued. Revisions to the plans were submitted for the Summit Medical Compassion Center on Quaker Lane. The plans involved a renovation of the existing restaurant. Plans were generally consistent with the requirements and a letter of approval was issued. Dismars on Providence Street submitted partial plans and application. They're taking over the Flippy Twist pizza place. And the application wasn't complete, so a letter was issued asking for more information with that submittal. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Jim? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Jim.
Next item is the financial report. Good evening, everyone. Year-to-date operating and debt expenses for fiscal year 2023 through the end of March totaled $7,235,847, which is 77% of the annual budget. Overtime for the month of March was $12,087, which is 8% of the annual budget. Year-to-date overtime is $119,497, which is 83% of the annual budget. Year-to-date savings in sewer department salaries line item through the end of March was $43,335, which is helping to offset the facility's overtime expenses. In comparison with the same time last fiscal year, we have spent $16,559 less on overtime this year versus last year. Year-to-date sludge removal costs through the end of March totaled $609,398, which is 91% of the annual budget. Our year-to-date increase expense of having to offload at resource recovery is $108,177. Our sewer usage collections through the end of, sewer usage and industrial collections through the end of March totaled $6,259,385, which is 84% of the total billed. Fiscal year 2023 sewer assessment collections through the end of March totaled $262,981, which is 106% of the total billed, and cash and investments through the end of March totaled $3,299,351. That's my financial report, Council President.
Any questions for Tony? Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome. Next item on the agenda is SC 2023-09, bid award for one-ton utility body pickup with crane.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Jeff, want to give an explanation?
Sure. We have a crane truck from 1999 that we use for raising and lowering employees out of 30-foot tanks. It's old, it's rusty, and we just want to get a new one. It was in the budget for a capital item for fiscal year 23 of $135,000, and the price actually came in better than expected at around $99,000.
Jeff, you're saying it's old and rusty.
Our crane
Old and
truck,
rusty, or is it just not operable?
If I may, Council President, it's not safe for what we utilize it for, to lower our
I wanna
employees
hear
down
it.
into.
Oh, I'm sorry.
into confined spaces.
Just because it has a little rust on it doesn't mean it can't be operated.
Well,
So
if it's lowering
it's
people
not-
into a,
if it's
into a
not
30-foot
safe,
tank,
it's-
I consider that not safe.
How the heck did that third bid have come in at $219,000?
I believe it's available right now. Whereas the other one, the second bid is about a year out, and the one that we are recommending is 6 months to a year.
Any questions for Jeff on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, council.
Next item is public comment.
Any public comment on the sewer? Just come on up. Just come on all the way up, please.
I'm out 6 Colonial Way. Mr. Chairman, item, you had mentioned the business was out of business. I didn't hear it. I heard the Cumberland, Dunkin' Donuts, but what was that first one? I need to sit closer.
It is the Palmera building, which is, it used to be, I forget what the,
Hercelanese.
Hercelanese up
They're
in.
out of business?
Well, yeah, they changed, they sold, and the production line, they were doing Oxycontin in those production at that pharmaceutical facility. They closed it because of, obviously, there was a lawsuit.
Is that the Chinese company?
No, this is, it was. I
There's a
think-
couple people operating out of there.
Yeah,
Oh, out of the same facility.
yeah, no, that was a pharmaceutical that.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other public comment? Hearing none,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Now we're going back into our council meeting, so I just need a motion to go back into our council meeting.
Make a motion to move back into the town council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Jim.
Opposed? Back into town council meeting.
Thank you, guys.
You too.
Right, consent agenda, approval of the minutes from the April 4th, 2023 budget public hearing, approval of the minutes from the April 4th, 2023 regular town council meeting, approval of the minutes from the April 5th, 2023 budget public hearing, and request from the tax collector for cancellation of taxes in the amount of $1,285.74.
Move approval.
Move second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Right, ordinances, second reading of ordinance 2023-7, amending appendix C, traffic ordinances, Fair Green Drive.
Move for approval of the ordinance.
Second, sorry.
Moved and second. Al?
This was before the council twice. At the first hearing, the people requesting the parking appeared. Second hearing, some opponents.
Oh, this is LaValley Street.
Isn't it
Fair
fair?
Green.
On the agenda, it shows LaValley.
Not
Not on
mine,
mine.
not
Not on
mine.
mine.
You have a different one?
Have to run it back from outside. Better from outside. Okay, go back to.
At the second hearing, we had some people who were opposing it. I discussed this at length with Pedro Archambault, and we decided that since it's a council decision, he notified people who want it. I notified the people who don't want it, and then hopefully here tonight, so council can make some decision on it. Don and I felt it was, well, we both felt it was good. It's not our decision, so we wanted the council to hear the sides to it.
Hello, my name is Jade. I reside on Fair Green Drive. I'm in favor of there's no parking sign. Regularly, on a regular basis, I still have difficulties getting in and out of my driveway. especially with the corner that's right there. I mean, I have even, just taken photos just for visuals, but I've had trucks that park on both sides, my side and across the street, right on that corner. I can't see getting in and out, and it's just a major safety hazard for anybody that's walking up and down that road. I know that there was opposition on it from the businesses at the end of the street. However, they have parking lots. And anybody that is walking into physical therapy or the spine facility that's there, they should be utilizing that parking lot instead of, essentially potentially causing more damage to themselves by walking down the road. People fly down that road, they can fall, they could get hurt. People walking dogs, there's elderly couples in the neighborhood, children. I just don't think that it's feasible to have that side of the road blocked.
So on your side of the street, who owns?
That's
the
why,
thing?
so it's half mine and the remainder is the town. There's no curbing there. So essentially what they're doing is they're folding mirrors in and they're pulling directly along my fence line, which is now making my fence do this. And again, also because they're parking so close, I still can't see to the left when I am trying to back out of my driveway. To the right, they're parking along the front of my home where there is no curbing either, kind of on the grass. But again, because there's a corner there, it makes it impossible to be able to see around the corner. Even taking my trash cans out, if there's people parked there, I almost got run over yesterday from somebody flying around that corner because they can't see around.
You have a unique corner over there.
I do.
Took a ride by this.
Can you
morning.
refresh my memory? I wasn't here. What was the recommendation from the traffic
Well,
committee?
actually, I'm going to ask that. This is a second reading. What did we do the first time? Did we table it or did we,
We approved.
we approved it?
First reading. And we took no action.
Yes, okay. Yes.
The first one. How many parking spaces? Like a couple of spaces that it?
And for their lot,
No, I'm just wondering how many spots are they losing by the no parking signs? 'Cause you
the
talked,
whole front end of my home.
But
Like
how many
the whole-
cars normally park there?
So generally, you can even pull it up on Google. At the time, there's at least 6 just along my fence. And now
That's a lot- that's a
they
lot.
are, I mean, my fence is here and they will literally park right here on my driveway. I've had officers come to my door because vehicles that they work at that location had their cars hit in front of my home.
what number group,
um,
if you don't mind me asking?
20.
20, okay. I had it up, but I didn't have the
Yeah.
exact address.
And 99% of the time, when I leave my driveway, those vehicles are parked there. Their parking lot may have 5, 6 cars in it. So it's not something where there's not adequate parking because the lot is not being utilized.
And I know when I went by, I figured maybe you can do so many feet of no parking, but the way your driveway is situated, it's
Right.
kind of
Kinda
very
tough
difficult.
spot. And I'm not just here trying to, make a big issue or inconvenience anybody. I know, the people that lived there prior to me, they've been there for 30 years. Maybe it wasn't a concern of theirs, but I have children. I don't want to see anybody in my neighborhood fall down, get hurt. So I'm not just trying to be difficult because it's something that I want. I'm kind of looking at it as overall.
Thank you.
Any other comment?
clarify.
Pictures if you guys want to see the actual
Um,
property.
Could you state your names again?
Could you state your name and
Yeah.
So I'm not sure all of what she's arguing. So
Just
my
state
name
your
is
name and
Colleen McGloin. I own Sport and Spine Physical Therapy.
Dr. Andrew Carlin, Carlin Chiropractic, Pain Injury Center.
Um, Yeah, we're not looking to use I'm not sure all of who she thinks is in front of her house. We use it for employees, so she's right. She could come out and the lot may have less people in it, but our employees are the ones that usually park there. We've been using that, like I said, 29 some odd years. We don't use her driveway. My staff knows better. But I can't say who else parks there that may not be our staff. So, there's only a few amount of us. There-
Actually, since you put those parking signs up yourself, we have not parked there, and that's been
Is
that's
that
been
what,
2 months. So,
You can get back up.
is that what these are? I see the no parking signs. Those are just,
Yes.
yeah,
I'm just, no, I'm just wondering. That's all. No, well, they don't look like town signs.
I think she was instructed that she could do that. I think we have since determined that's not proper, but that's neither here nor there. Right. And, okay,
so the point for us is we don't use it very often, and we use even less since the signs went up, because we didn't know it was a problem for her. We've been there for 30 years. We've never had anybody complain about our parking. We need that parking. I know she says that our parking is underutilized at times. We're not full, but at times of the busy hours, we have Sport and Spine. I have my practice, it's Dr. Jordan. There's 4 units there.
Is your business
come
the
and go.
328 I see here? Is that,
28,
Yeah, so
Is
it's 4
that park-
separate units.
is that parking in the back?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
4 separate units. So there's a trainer is the first one, the physical therapy is next, and then there's a chiropractor and another chiropractor.
So is the main issue for you, is it along that fence? Is that what? Is the recommendation, because it doesn't really say on how far, like how long is the no parking signs that are being recommended? The corner of Cohasset? Where 20 is?
Intersection of Meadow Drive and Fairgreen. Corner. I would not.
From Meadow, I mean, that seems pretty far. Okay. From. Okay, that's. Where, Envision Eye Care, that's that same building that I'm looking at
They're
here.
in the front.
Okay, just making sure I'm looking at the right spot. So Al, the recommendation is all the way from that spot, all the way down to Meadow Drive.
So can I just ask another question? Because there is another 2 houses in between you and the business. Oh, okay, that's a garage. That's a garage. I'm sorry. Okay, no, it's a garage. I'm sorry.
associated with it. That's
So-
a separate.
2 separate driveways. So do you park in front of there also?
This is where the business owners are right
So
here.
you're actually
And she lives here.
going a couple hundred feet down the road from your business.
Oh, it's not a couple hundred feet.
And this is
Yeah, it's
Meadow
maybe-
right here. Oh, no, Meadow's here. But this is where it is. Okay.
Oh,
The house in between her and you, it's got about 110-foot frontage on it.
So it
So,
would be 120 feet.
so that then extending to her property, you're going all the way down.
Oh, we're not parking down there. No, there's only,
We don't go past.
let me just say,
Patients lot.
I like to repeat that in the last 2 months, we haven't parked there. We just need it for like snow days when it's extremely busy. We don't utilize it like every day. We use it very judiciously and
So
we
it may be
respect her, since she complained about this, we've been trying to be very respectful and not utilize.
So it's possible though your patients are parking there and you
It's
don't know that.
possible, Yeah,
Yes.
because what she's telling me, I mean, none of us own a
Yes.
truck. So
Yeah.
she's talking
Yeah.
about a patient,
Okay,
and I can't tell you who
And-
drives every,
Okay,
I
and
wouldn't
that's-
even never
that's fine.
expected that. I honestly do believe most of our patients do use that parking lot, which is why our employees. So I'm not disagreeing with you, I just don't have control of that.
Do we,
oh, right, that's.
Chief, do we have any idea of how many accidents have been in that vicinity over the past few years?
It's a
The one
business.
she's talking about, just so she knows, there was one patient, there was an employee of ours that did have her car scratched. That's the first time that has occurred in the 29 years I've been there. I'm not sure what occurred that day, but that was our employee. So I understand why she was, the police came and asked about, they were trying to.
Yeah, they
find who
wanted
had
to
done it. But, we have literally never had anybody else park on, I mean, I've parked there myself on the street. But she's right, she did get bothered by that because it did just.
I mean, we have 4 businesses there. If we can't park there, what's the alternative? People are gonna be parking on Queeset Avenue? I mean, there's limited
No,
parking.
I understand it's limited parking, but
I was under the impression, though, I think I had a conversation with Major Archibald, that there is adequate parking for the facility. I mean.
It looks
is
like
that-
I mean, I don't, it looks like it, from here anyway, that there's a large-ish parking.
It's about
it's
4
like-
spaces per unit.
Okay.
Places have had to have it. So it's really not adequate parking for 8 businesses. So trust me when I can tell you.
The front is there's,
So the 4 units in front,
Front, and then-
each have 3 or 4
and then there's,
spaces.
and then there's
And
4
the
units.
4
in the back.
units in back, each have 3 or 4
yeah, there's
spaces.
30,
And
well, there's 32 units. You said how many? 32 parking spaces.
So there's 8, yeah, 4. That's what I mean. It's about 4 per
And
unit.
if you're looking at
8
employees,
businesses.
they take up most of, I mean.
Which is possible, but then it's a business with a bunch of, but all medical. They are,
Should they not?
they are.
But what we're asking for is only from here to here, not over there.
Nobody's come forward for that.
No, I understand, but what I'm talking about, we're only asking from 20 down there, but there's another little island over here. Okay, so I'm just concerned if it is a safety concern, would it be the safety concern for that spot as well? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's dangerous over there.
It's on the bend.
I don't know if it's because it's on the bend that it's, the issue is, I mean, because is there not issues with that little island of land before your house?
You mind stand up, so just so we can hear you.
I'm just curious why there's not an issue with that specific portion only further down near your property. That's-
So, because that property, again, was empty for so long, those people just moved in there. They may have an issue with that little piece. I don't know. I don't talk to them.
Yeah,
I'm concerned with getting in and out of my driveway.
gotcha.
They have double driveway, so worst case scenario, they could
They do,
go
they drive
around,
straight.
they can go there. I don't have that. I mean, put the vehicle.
No, but you, I just,
further down, I can.
but you had mentioned about like the line of vision for cars driving. Is that because when they're going around your street, when they're coming around that corner?
Yeah, it's when they're coming around both corners. So when they, even if they're putting those cars as close to my fence as possible, okay, I can't see past the car. I have landscape trucks parked there, whether they're, patients or not, that has nothing to do with it. I'm not trying to ruin a business or take
Yeah.
away from
Yeah.
that. But I'm responsible if I'm pulling out of my driveway and I can't see,
Yeah.
and my car gets hit with my child.
How many cars do you think from either one of you that can park in that other spot in between that island? It's tough for me to tell on here.
So every day, there's
Two.
2 cars at that roundabout.
And
And
just,
then in front of my house can be anywhere between 4 to 6
so
cars.
just to reiterate, we're not asking to, no, part of that island, right?
No, it's from.
I know,
this
from here to here.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're right here.
Yep.
I can honestly say, I don't know, she's saying 4 to 6 cars. I have no idea.
So-
employees.
They're there every day, so.
But
I mean,
No, but there,
But they're
no,
not.
but you said there were,
Yes.
They have nothing to do with us.
no, but there, I'm
Okay,
just
so
saying,
that-
there were
that
other
makes
bits.
it different,
On a
because
regular
if it doesn't have anything to do with you,
Then-
then it shouldn't be an issue
Right.
with you if you're not parking there. It's whoever's parking there, it's gonna be an issue with.
Yeah,
So if it's a
so-
neighbor or it's whoever, then
Yes, I don't
they'll
know
have
who's
the problem.
using those. So the only thing we had ever, because originally at the last meeting, they had hoped that we would talk, I've never even met this woman. So, my thought would be, if we could just have the one on the half circle. And-
Well,
but
I don't-
know that
I don't
you
think
have
we're,
that
we're not asking
We're
for
not
that.
asking for
We're
anything.
not
on the house.
changing that.
That one,
No, I mean, on the one, so in other words, your whole fence where you put your signs. So for even to give us one and put up a sign, like we're just trying to hold on to a couple of them parking so that we have room. And that's what, if I had met you and they introduced us, that's what I would have said to you. Is there any way we could have just, because I understand what you're saying, when they get closer to your driveway, you can't, you wouldn't be able to see. I totally understand that. But if we did the first one only is what I would have asked for.
I just think even there, it would be difficult backing out to see around the building. I'm not.
No, and we had no idea there's anybody going past you.
Just for clarification, which house, what color is your house? Gray?
the one behind these trees, could you come up there, just, because this is.
Is this your driveway?
So on this map here, I think what they're asking
Come on
for,
up.
These cars.
yep,
So the other day, what was happening is a truck was parked here and somebody that walked to that building works there.
No, no,
That I've seen, parked here. So trying to get out, you can't see around this.
okay,
Coming this way, you
Yeah.
see how my driveway is here?
Yep.
When the cars are parked all in here, I can't see around to see who's coming. this
yeah,
way.
we have,
see this
What is
bushes
this?
out.
Well, these are actually cut very high,
Yeah.
so cars can actually, I keep all of them
Can I see
trimmed
right?
up, so
Okay.
I can
David, this
see.
is a good view of.
This is your driveway.
Yeah.
We're looking
This is the
reserve maybe a parking
Oh, wow,
station
there's
right
cars.
there.
See, they're not on
This
here.
is-
But it's for me, and then this is.
See, this is.
We have a better
this is
view.
the
I don't know what
car.
Yeah, so
that's-
this was actually the other day in
lined up.
front of my house.
So you got
going
3
towards
cars
Meadow.
on the
There's a
island,
box truck here
obviously.
and a truck,
we go.
and you
Yeah.
can't see.
Yeah, no, I can see, and even from this one, we can
Yeah.
see that in the.
And even on Google Images.
You got
I don't
3
know.
there.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
where those
Yeah.
go.
So,
Yeah.
so
But
if we
that's-
go
that's
no
road.
parking
that's
from there back, this shouldn't affect you if you don't know who they are.
Well, I'm talking about when it's super busy. and the last 2 months, we have to park there, but we're trying to park there. If it's a snow day.
The snow day, it might be even more dangerous to have cars parked over there.
Well, usually a parking ban too. so-
Correct, correct. No, I know what he means. He means after it snows. I know what he means.
No,
He
I
means
know what you
after
mean.
it
If there's
snows.
an issue with not parking, it's nice to be able to park there and not.
It still looks like if we were to do it, and this one, again, this shows that little island, you still can fit the 3 there. This one does look like, if you see this red car here, it does look like it would be very difficult for her to get out of her driveway.
That's, well, I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand. And if
Because,
there's
what
no
she's
parking-
looking for is the new, because what she's looking for is the no parking from that point.
So let me ask you a question. Oh, all right, all right, let's get back into council meeting mode. Kind of feel like Judge Judy right now. So just another question. Has anybody reached out to the business next door across the way? Has anybody reached out to that individual? Because I know there's
Is it
2
the-
businesses there.
Is a dentist there? and-
Dentist and Apollonia.
Yes, right.
And they use every one of their parking and that could be some of them.
We've even asked the guy who owns the horseshoe shaped parking, we've asked to rent it from him and we on 2 different occasions, 10 years.
Now there's new owners, we think.
you know, renters.
They
Just rent
rented,
them,
yeah.
that's what I thought.
This is that, the driveway in front of that island.
We tried. So yeah, the other corner has their own issues. They park all these, yeah. And they actually park this way.
Again, I'm not an engineer, but I'm just looking at the backside. Does anybody park up against your building on the backside? I see you have the parking spots across the parking lot.
Yeah, I do.
And you,
I'm the only one that does. Yeah, I'd start my spot because I don't want a patient to park there because you got to back in and it's kind of a, so I,
There's a dumpster, like a
yeah.
container, and we put that-
pickle.
I think a reasonable compromise would just give us one space between the horseshoe and her property.
Well, I feel like we saw that you could fit the three in between
I think
there.
it happened, yeah.
Well, that's going to compromise. Eventually, those other people are going to not be happy with us.
But we can only address,
But then are we going to undo? I mean, if they, are we going, can we undo something that we do tonight? If that's.
well, nothing is ever permanent. But as of right now, I usually try to err on the side of what the traffic committee recommends, because they're the ones that they're much more knowledgeable about giving these kinds of recommendations.
But they did that before they heard the other side of the argument. They didn't know there was another.
In
side
my
of the argument.
experience, they do and Mark was on it and Ernie was on it in the past. They do a very thorough job. And you're, yeah.
Right.
No, yeah, no, but you get a variety of, like, whether it's fire department, police department, you get the DPW involved, I believe, right, Jeff, is Jeff on? And I still believe you still have those three extra spots in addition to the parking lot as well. And just from looking at the picture on Tim's phone, it's very difficult for her to pull out of the driveway, and
Well, if you look at the angle, if you park down at the end, there's no visual obstruction. If you look at the angle of the road, you can see the whole thing from there.
for that one that was in that car, it definitely
So,
was.
and I'm gonna, this is gonna be a question all night, so out of curiosity, and maybe you guys can answer this, if we put no parking on her side, what's gonna happen? Can they park on the other side? Because there's no parking signs on the other side.
Yeah, people not-
Unfortunately, you
people
might
not
have to
parking
come
on the-
back.
They park on the other side, they're parking on
They do,
both
okay.
both sides, because you got houses there, sometimes.
So there's still parking on the street. There's the three extra spots. You can still park on the other side of the road. I mean, from what it looks like, is if they're on the other side of the road, at least it eliminates a little bit of the coming around. Like I said, I prefer to usually err on the side of the traffic committee in most cases.
But if you consider that angle, that's what I'm saying. There should be no obstruction to our vision getting out of the parking lot if we're parked down at that end.
But like you said, it's not you, like you're parked there. You said your employees are not parked. Where do they park?
Would they, wouldn't those
Those three
spots
parking spots,
or in the
okay.
parking lot?
And then we
But-
were using one or two of the ones.
Yeah. Any other public comment?
That being said, I'm gonna take a,
Actually, one question, Al, so will they be on the fence? Would signs be on the fence like that? Where would they be erected? I mean, are they in the road? Where will that happen? On the street?
No, not.
any other comment? I'll ask one more time. Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay,
Yes.
Mary Beth,
Yes.
and I vote.
Let me back here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second reading of ordinance 2023-11, amending Appendix C traffic ordinances, Pennell Drive.
Want
Want to make sure
to
there's no
make sure
issues.
that that's okay. Shouldn't have to, but.
Bert, calling you in, Bert.
I have a motion and a second. Al?
Second, oh, sorry.
This is a stop sign where Pennell Drive enters into Tampa Street. Tampa's a main thoroughfare, and the cars pulling into it. Traffic committee felt there'll be some regulation as they pull in. It's a bad intersection, so this is second reading.
Any questions on Kennel Drive? Any public comment? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
First reading of ordinance 2023-13, amending Appendix C Traffic Ordinance Industrial Lane.
Hold on.
I'll move the ordinance.
Second.
Moving second, Al?
This is a no parking on the east side of Industrial Lane between the intersection of Industrial Lane and Noon's Lane, a private right-of-way so-called, and a southerly boundary of the tax assessors plat, lots 018 and lot 269. Stop sign in front of one private piece of property. As I've been asked in the past, I understand that Major Archambault has given notice to all of the people in the area that will be affected by it.
Which they all received on Friday afternoon. Because my phone rang Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday. Just so, first and foremost, I'd like to hear from the persons who applied for this, because when I asked the traffic committee, and as Councilman Messier said, you know, they usually due diligence, so on and so forth, and very thorough. Well, I asked some people who were in that meeting, and nobody can tell me anything thorough on this decision. And talking to the business owners, there's going to be issues with other businesses. For instance, I'll give you an example. The side you're requesting is the curb side of Industrial Lane. The other side, all the way around Industrial Lane, has been designed this way, non-curb, because of the types of businesses that are in there. Buses, 18-wheelers, the deliveries for the builder surplus, so on and so forth. So everybody parks on the other side, including when that used to be an apartment, people used to park on that side of the road. There's actually a gray car that was parked on that side of the road this weekend when I went down. Now, speaking to Mike Winter, he is the owner of Builder Surplus. Across the way from where that says no parking is going to be able to park on the road, which now there's a 5-bay garage right there where he stores all his materials that he sells. If people stop parking on that side of the road, at this point, you now have problems with forklifts, 18 wheels, whatever. Now, the bus company would like to see no overnight parking throughout.
Well, that's a rule now.
I went down, well, you say that,
Is that,
but again, I went down there. I spoke, there are some cars lined up on the road. I called, no hidden secret, RT Nunes, and said, what are these cars? They're not mine. I evicted the individual and he's put them out there. He took them off the property and put them out there. So at this point, we should just tow them out of there because it's private cars, don't even know who they are. It's whoever got evicted. That's the first part of it. But again, this is, I have the luxury now of not working in Cranston. I'm at LaCroix and I'm up in the business park every single day. You go up and down the business park, there's cars parked everywhere, LaCroix, Zidlow, everywhere for every business. And they have extensive parking in that area, but their employees park on the road. So my concern is Michael Winters is going to have a problem with the parking across the street with the no curb, which we're going to create. And then secondly, if this, and I'm gonna be blunt, if this is about a dispute, the town should not be fixing anybody's disputes. Because if somebody's parking, and if somebody's parking in front of somebody else's property, everybody down there has the courtesy to call each other and say, hey, can you work on this or whatever? Because even when RT Noons had that disasters of cars up and down the street, Mike Winters would call over to Jared and say, hey, you know, you gotta do something about this. They're parking on my side. I have pictures of Sunday. There's a stray Mustang turned sideways on the road. Nobody even knows whose car it was. We're just sitting there. But, you know, I just don't want, and again, I'll understand the traffic commission doesn't want to upset anybody or do anything, but they want the council to make the same decision. I don't think that road is 60 feet wide with the sidewalks. It's on a straightaway where this lady at least had a curve. So what safety and welfare is a no parking on 60 feet of a 2,000-foot road?
Unfortunately, I can't answer any of those.
So that's why I'd like to hear from.
I would just, going back to the
because
previous item.
I get a call from Major Ashenbo who says the traffic committee did this. I put it in writing. That's the extent.
I'm
of it.
just curious why we didn't, usually we get a recommendation from the traffic committee one way or the other. I'm just curious why we didn't. I'd feel more comfortable making a
They
decision
did
one way or
make
the
a
other.
recommendation.
They did?
I believe they
thought-
recommended,
What,
yes.
the traffic committee, when it was brought before,
They did
Major-
recommend in the affirmative.
when it
Okay,
was
all right.
brought before, when Major Ashenbo called me initially, I said, okay, let it go to traffic.
Okay.
I then got a call from Major Ashenbo that had gone to traffic committee. The traffic committee made the recommendation. So I said, okay, traffic committee made the recommendation.
Okay.
I
so
put it in,
They did put it in the affirmative. Okay.
but I
But
don't
I'm
know.
asking how with the non-curbside having full parking now? That's what's gonna happen is people are gonna go across the street.
I don't
Why do you
know
say
any-
that?
It's going to happen.
Well, then we'll have to address that, just like we said in the last one. I mean, so if a business owner would like to have the curb in front of their property, where they might have a sign or they might have landscaping, what's wrong with that request that there's not a bulldozer there or a trailer with some, I mean, that's, I think, where we're getting to.
And I can understand that, but when.
And we've done that in the past for other businesses in town.
And again, and please, don't take, I'm asking because the same businesses ask me the same questions. Okay,
The only thing I can say is all businesses, and you confirmed it, were given notice that it was coming before you if they had problems.
and I told them I would address all their concerns, and I am, I'm
And
addressing
I'm-
their
Well, they
concerns.
should
And I apologize. So it was an affirmative recommendation from the traffic committee. Okay.
Mr. Reed, would you just come up and explain this, please?
Believe it or not, I agree with you. Okay? The sideward, or the builder surpluses, there's no way you can park cars over there.
And I don't think they will, but
Okay. As far as on the other side, I think during the day, there should be parking there. Okay, because you have employees. Not all the employees can get into those lots. All right? But I think there should be no overnight parking. Okay? And there should be no trailers and, like you said, bulldozers and whatever. You already know where it came from. It came from me. All right?
No, that's why I said I'd like you to come up
Okay.
and explain it,
All right.
because
So the issue is through the whole thing, first of all, the first half of that is a junkyard. All right? And everybody that's come there, including the major, asked, what's all this? I said, you tell me, they're all unregistered vehicles.
up on the road, right?
Yeah.
right.
Yes, and that individual has been evicted, and
Well, then
they
he
should be
needs-
towing them cars
Then
right out.
somebody needs to tag them and tow them.
They're all unregistered, the vehicles.
They're all unregistered. They've been
they
there,
have-
Chop shop.
So
some of
let me
them been there
just-
for a couple of years.
Yeah, if they're,
They have plates on them, but I could tell you
well, that
honestly.
doesn't
can
mean,
run
that
those-
doesn't mean that they're registered
That's right.
necessarily, yeah.
I
So-
agree. And again, I spoke to Jared himself this weekend.
He moved
told-
all his stuff.
Well, and again, he told me the vehicle, I went there this weekend, said, and I called him up specifically yesterday and said, what are all the vehicles that are on there that are sitting on the side of the road?
They're
He
not
said,
his.
No, he evicted the individual and the individual never moved them off his property and put them on the road. So we should be towing them out of it.
And major,
Simple. 'Cause I wanted to make sure it wasn't the garage on Clyde Street either.
parking them over there.
But some of those cars have been there for over 2 years.
Major Archibald actually did say that when he went down, because he went down and he looked at the property and he did say, it's a mess. And I said, I can't disagree.
Can you,
So can we take care of that? And he said that that was the
you mentioned,
process.
you mentioned the overnight, what would be the benefit to the eliminating the overnight parking? Is it
No,
because the
I-
buses come in so early? Is that why it's
No,
an
no,
issue
what
with the
happens with
buses?
the
Listen, every
overnight
every
parking
business
is-
parks on that side of the road one time or another, whether it's an 18-wheeler,
Yeah.
whether it's buses,
Yeah.
whether it's whatever, but they go on the curbside because the non-curbside
But they don't leave them there
overnight.
overnight or for months.
Yeah, like these
or
cars.
Multiple months. That is the only issue. I mean, everybody has to work together, okay? And that's why when the thing was ready, even when I saw it, I said, this is wrong, okay? Builders warehouse side, there's no way you can have no parking on that side. That's idiotic, right? On the other side, it's an industrial park. People have to come to work. They need to park their cars somewhere. Just like any other place, you park it up against the curb. Just no overnight parking, and it shouldn't look like a junkyard. The other issue I'm having is, and I'm sure after tonight you'll get rid of the junkyard, is, you know, I've got people coming down to do surveying. They couldn't shoot the line because the trailer trucks were all the way. But they've been moved since. And those trailers were there for at least 6 months. Even during a snowstorm, they had to plow around them because they weren't even hooked up to a horse. They were just laying there. So my personal opinion is on Builders Warehouse, that should be wide open along the curbside. Parking, but no overnight parking. So if you say no overnight parking, that means that they're not gonna be there for a month. And then we need, you know, the police department to patrol it once in a while, because the major said he hadn't even been there in God knows how long. He didn't even know what it looks like. But if people have been down there, and nothing against the police department, I respect all you guys. All those cars are there for a year and a half and nobody puts a tag on them, or we wouldn't be here. I think it needs to be rewritten. Like I said, I agree with you. People have to go to work, they have to park. But
And,
Yeah,
and
that
and the
stuff's gotta
concern
get out of
is, for instance, that two-family house, that's, yeah, the little yellow one.
yeah, that's got a
That's-
parking lot.
Well, that's eventually gonna be the bus station's offices.
Well-
So they're moving over to there. So,
No, I don't think.
well, again,
They abandoned all that. They're done with that.
again, I don't know, but the last I was told, that
Yeah,
was
no,
gonna
it
be
was
their
supposed to
office.
be.
And if they got 10 employees, that's only a 6-car parking lot. You
I
know?
agree.
So they're gonna need the park, right?
agree.
And again, in my opinion, you're on a straightaway, there's no safety, welfare, or anything like that. I agree with no overnight parking. And I agree, it does look like a crap hole, because if it was, and if it was the individual, I was gonna say clean it up, you know, because if not, you should be fine. But again, that individual told me right out, it's not his, he evicted the individual, and we should tell, and he was told by the police department because they came and told him
So your main
that
issue
we're
on
gonna
it,
tag the cars, and he never did.
He moved all his trailers that have been there for months. He's got a parking situation that he's working on in the back right now. And he moved all his equipment. It's the other stuff that it is. I mean, it's a junkyard.
Is a camper.
And that's gonna
is-
be, so,
Name it.
so John, this ordinance before us right now talks about no parking in front of your fence. Are you saying that that's not what you're requesting at this point in time?
No, I'm requesting, I mean, I don't expect trailers and stuff to be there all the time. We are gonna put signage out there. I mean, if there's a car out there, the employee parking,
so your request, yours is the overnight parking is the bigger issue. So cars aren't just left there.
yeah. it's
Just for
overnight
clarif-
parking.
Okay.
And if it's enforced, we're good.
If we were to do that tonight, could we amend the current ordinance, or would it have to be put back together again if we were to change it to overnight?
We already
rather
have
than-
no overnight parking, so
Oh, there's already-
DPW,
There's already no
you shouldn't
overnight
have,
parking on that street.
you wouldn't need to act. We just authorize DPW to put the signage up and. the
So
police
that whole
department
road
will
has
check.
no overnight parking, all of industrial lane. You mentioned that before.
Technically, the town.
Technically,
town?
technically the whole town. Yes, technically.
Yeah.
That's right. Technically, you are
Wait,
not
any-
supposed,
By enforcing.
that's crazy, because we can't, because
I know some cities are different when you're in like a.
technically, that's the answer.
No. Who am I? I'm John Reed. I'm not gonna, I
that's-
mean, because it's me, you're not gonna do
Right.
that? That's stupid. That's stupid.
Me, correct. That's what
That being the case, then.
Yeah,
that you-
I would,
We'll
I would
table
just,
it.
I would just, ask that we, especially if there's cars, chief, if there's cars that have been out, like, anywhere on that road that have been out there for a long time, if we can. I mean, I think that might take care of some of the, tag them and bag them.
So what did you say, Mark, though, about signage and, yeah,
So you wouldn't need to take ordinance action. We can just, and you don't need to do it. I can just authorize DPW to put signage up for awareness.
Because it's already,
No overnight.
No
No overnight parking.
That's
It's already
already-
zoned that way, so why do another ordinance?
It's like putting up
Another
slow
piece of
children
paper?
or
that's fine.
Let's just enforce the
line
one we
curve
got.
or anything.
Jeff, could we, I mean, I don't know how many you need. I'll defer to you guys. I'll defer
Well,
to
you
you
probably
guys.
want it all up and down. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to take care of that.
We don't,
corner.
yeah.
Yeah.
Put them in some spots that, yeah,
Fine.
well then, use your normal measure. If we-
Telephone poles, there's plenty of poles down there.
All right, it's an easy one then.
So we will take no action.
Take no action on this ordinance and
First reading of ordinance 2023-14, amending chapter 5, article 2, fences, section 5-348.
I'll move the ordinance forward.
Second.
Moving second. This is an ordinance that our fence ordinance right now says you can have a fence 6 feet high. That's it.
Is that industrial too?
Everywhere.
Anything. It's
Anything.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only place
Well,
you can have a fence is 6 feet. Mary Beth called someone who wants to go, I believe, with an 8-foot fence. I know we had a case before the zoning board recently where parties came in, it was residential. They wanted to put a section of their fence up to 8 feet. This was a statement that it was done for medical reasons. The owner of the property has some kind of a condition that needs the shade. Unfortunately, because of our ordinance, the zoning board had to deny it. The ordinance says 6 feet, that's it. So the zoning board could not grant that ordinance. When Mary Beth contacted me for it, I looked into the ordinances of other communities. In the entire state, the only ones I could find were 5 other communities who have any fence ordinances at all of any kind. The ordinance of Bristol says 6 feet, but then if there's a development coming in, the planning board can allow different size heights in that new development. The ordinance for Central Falls has 6 feet, except in their M zone, which I'm not sure what it is, but that's 8 feet. The Providence ordinance has 4.5 feet, unless the owners on either side agree, and then they don't have any regulations. So in discussion with Mary Beth, I said, well, we could change it and put it into going before the zoning board for special use permit or a variance. And Mary Beth felt that it becomes a pretty expensive proposition to do it. So this was what,
So we've had this discussion with Mary, I'm sorry to
Go
cut
ahead.
you off. but
No.
I've had this discussion with Mary Beth, and after we actually had a discussion is when I went down to Industrial Lane. And I said, hey, look, I took a picture. I said, this is an 8-foot fence. It's all the way around every property has 8-foot fence. I'm like, what's wrong with the 8-foot fence? It's Industrial Lane. Nothing's wrong with the 8-foot fence, in my opinion. I live on a wall. My house is on a wall. The ordinance says I have to put it no higher than a 4-foot fence because I have an 8-foot wall. But my neighbor's house drops down 8 feet from mine. I have the 4-foot fence. If I wanted to put 6, my neighbor said, no problem, but I'm gonna break the ordinance, so I kept the 4-foot. But I can put a 20-foot arborvitae there. So what's the difference between an arborvitae and a fence?
I didn't draw the ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, so,
One's man-made and one's nature grown, right? So that's it. But again, I'm in favor of an 8-foot. If I live on my property and I want to put up an 8-foot fence, because I don't even want to look at my neighbors. then why can't I put up an 8-foot fence? If I have a jacuzzi in my backyard and my neighbor can see into my backyard with a 4 or a 6-foot fence, and I think an 8-foot fence would cover it, why couldn't I put an 8-foot fence? And why would I have to go before zoning to do so? That's just extra money on the homeowner.
So that's what this ordinance does. I mean, it was actually the residents at West Valley Inn. They are looking to put up an 8-foot fence because they felt the 6-foot did not give enough privacy for the people who may buy those condos and quite frankly, for the neighbors abutting them on Providence Street. When he looked into it and I called Al and Al said, no, he can't. And I said, well, that's crazy. And that started the conversation. I found out about a denial down in Natick, where it is really literally just about.
So
Two sections.
You're gonna tell me that throughout this whole town?
No,
there's not one-
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But there is no, the way the ordinance is written, and I found it interesting that Al said that there were very few ordinances, it's silent in most cases. It doesn't even talk about fences in many communities.
I'd
So-
like Providence says you can have 4.5 feet unless both people agree. And it doesn't say how high you can go.
So the point is,
Hell in a
there
cell,
was
WWE match
absolutely
over there.
no way to do anything but a 6-foot fence here in West Warwick, and that made no sense. And I would think that it should be able to be done administratively instead of going before zoning. Let the planner and Al.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And
I've always disagreed with this one, Al. Even when you brought the Natick one before me before, I told you I disagree with that. But
yeah, so I think that it just makes sense and you're right, Jay. We could ride around town and find a number of.
Yeah, and it comes up with
where-
an issue like this where a big development's trying to do things the right way and then they
Correct.
find out like, oh, this is.
Correct. Yep. And I had no idea that there was no ability to have anything other than a 6-foot fence.
So the
until I did
verbiage of this one allows, if approved
So
tonight,
it would, well, unless we wanted to change it, the way Alice presented it, it's a 6-foot fence. You can get a variance at a residence up to 8 feet with the permission
Yeah.
of the planner, the building
well, it's-
official and
It's 8,
a residence
8 in,
industrial.
and 10 for,
and 10 and
Yeah.
10 in
they
industrial.
still have to come before,
No,
don't have to go before anybody.
They-
They were
they
the
would-
building official, the planner.
could do that without
Yes.
having to go, okay,
Yes.
Yeah, they would-
with this
they would,
ordinance.
they
Yes.
would request it in either the planner office or the
Okay.
building office, and then the three of us would
So
look
at
at it.
least somebody would look at it and say, well, wait a minute, you can't put that 8-foot. fence
Because
right
there
in
could
your
be some
front yard. You
situations-
couldn't see,
We-
that's right.
But
yes.
it wouldn't add a huge onus on the builder, like an extra.
Right now, anybody who installs an 8-foot fence doesn't get, unless the neighbor complains, nobody says vote. Because, like I said, all of industrial lane is 8 foot. All the way through. It's
And actually,
gonna be a couple of thousand feet of
I would
fence.
suggest that industrial maybe should be 10, but
One-
that's just my
One
own.
of the other factors that I discussed with Mary Beth was that I think there are certain industries that probably a 10-foot fence for the visibility and the,
Everything in like industrial, like I said, it's 8 foot, but it's visible, 'cause it's chain link.
but what I'm saying, no, I'm saying that with certain types of industries, you might want to have a 10-foot fence so that the people outside don't have this with something unpleasant to look at.
It's a nice way to put it. Yeah. Well, I don't think that's what he was thinking of, but nonetheless, yeah.
Dave's in his hot tub and we're like, Dave, put up a 10-foot.
So,
From November to April, you have problems, because it's all no tree. I'm nature
all right,
covered.
there's definitely,
Jeez.
we don't need to go there. So that's what this ordinance does. It remains at 6 feet, but gives it someone an opportunity to get an 8-foot or a 10-foot fence and not go through zoning.
Any other comment?
No, I've got enough comment on
Yes.
parking and fences for the
Yes,
evening.
yeah.
Let somebody.
Thanks, viewer.
Congratulations. A lot of towns have a few
We,
officials
I,
who go out and make that
I
determination.
I
without going
believe,
through.
So the bit, that's what will happen. I assume the
I
building,
believe there is one in our charter or something.
I don't think it is currently filled.
But I don't
I don't think
it's
there
ever
is
been
one.
filled.
No, there are a lot of other things in our charter that are crazy, but
We do have one in there, but there isn't, it hasn't been filled for a very long time, as far as I know.
You interested?
What the hell, like,
No, I think the building official, personally, the building official and
the planner,
it should be on the plans. So for instance, if Bert's building a property on Cohasset Avenue and he says, on my backside, I want to put 8-foot fence, because I can tell you the people behind Kentucky Fried Chicken on Route 2, they would love an 8-foot fence. There's only a 6-foot. And all the headlights from the drive-through go right in. They were happy when it closed.
So Kentucky could put up a 10-foot.
They can put up a 10.
That's right.
And
Keep those chickens in there. I
well,
guess,
it's
yeah.
keeping the headlights go right into the fence, so.
That was a thorn in the side of the building office.
So this will give them, that will give them some leeway also.
Hold on, come all the way up so they can hear you.
So. Eric, 62 inches up. If you go 8-foot fence, is it still gonna be in the ordinance to step it down
Towards
at
the
a
end.
driveway towards the end? I would keep that in there.
Still 3
Because
feet,
8 feet all the way to the end of a driveway,
No, no, no.
still 3 feet at the end.
yeah. Yeah, I just didn't hear you guys say that when you're talking about changing the ordinance.
We're not touching
Right.
that part of the ordinance.
Yeah, no, well, I didn't hear you say it, so I
Yeah.
said, well,
No,
8 feet all the way to the end.
that part is staying the same.
That other lady be back saying she can't see. Pulling out.
Yeah.
Any other public comment on this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay,
Yes.
Mary Beth,
Yes,
and I vote yes.
Thanks for the appointment.
enough.
We
for
wanted to make
fences
you
for
work
them.
for
No,
it
you
tonight,
see,
Al.
You get a second chance. Yeah.
All right, business licenses, request from Harold Farrar doing business as Rockwell Amusements and Promotions, Inc. for a carnival and amplifier loudspeaker license.
Move the license.
Second.
Move the second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Appointments and resignations, appointment of Norman Landroach as town moderator.
I move the name of Norman Landroach as the town moderator.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? Norman said he's gonna do this 1 year for us.
I know, yeah, he's been here six, is it 6 now?
No, it's more like eight.
No, because my first year,
Oh, yeah, it's probably.
He-
six.
Robert Arrow was at least my first year here, so this would
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
5 or 6, well, whatever, I don't know what year we're in, 2023, right? 2017.
all of
was-
those. Yeah.
2017 was definitely John Bonero, so it would have been 18, 19, 20, to 1 to 2.
Norman
So this is the
does a fine
6th year.
job.
Yes, he does.
Does a fine job. Hasn't been contentious since he's been moderator too, so. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
New business, resolution authorizing the purchase of 4 Daktronic scoreboards at the West Warwick Civic Center facilities.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Somebody who wants to speak on this?
I'll defer to Lori
There is-
because she's
there
had
is no-
numerous communications and
There's no
can
fence
describe it much
involved.
better than I.
Yes. What do you want to give us an update, Lori? Please.
At the Civic Center.
Yeah. Believe it. Believe that.
So we're going to go with Scoreboard Enterprises. We're gonna have 4 Dextronic scoreboards. They really make scoreboards. The guy Mike is wonderful. They are on the Massachusetts Higher Education list. Their member contract number is B14. I don't know.
So there's a cost associated with these.
So there is a cost associated with them, but we still are going to do the sports marketing. It's just that they're so far out. In order to get them in time for next year's season, we are going to, I believe it's the next item that's on the agenda. It's a lease program, but we are able to pay off the lease as soon as we get all the sports marketing. It's just, honestly, it's just the time of the year
if I wasn't the person that solely ran summer camp and, you know, was booking the winter and all that stuff, then. we
Really
could do it.
short-term lease.
Yeah,
How long do you think it will take to recoup the $48,000? And I'm not holding you to it, just kind of.
probably within the year. I mean, I have a team, I have their team that I get to work with. I do have to go to all the marketing meetings. And so that's where the issue is right now. It's just, I don't have time to, you know.
We
take care
don't
of
split
200
with
kids.
anybody.
Nope, we get all the money.
Okay.
So, I just don't have the time to, you know, take care of 200 kids daily and register all these kids for summer camp and take care of the field house and the ice rink and go to marketing meetings at the same time.
So, and I know that there's, so the financing piece, I guess I would ask why? Isn't there a way for us to pay for it and have the enterprise fund give it back to us? I mean, why would we want to pay a dime of interest, which we would be doing?
Yeah, I think that makes, especially if you're gonna pay it back in a year, it makes more sense for us to not pay the interest if.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
was
if
my
we-
understanding that it would be, if you go with the lease, it's the first annual payment whenever that is due.
Mhm.
But we'd suspect that we wouldn't be making additional payments because we would have had the sports
Saying
marketing
if you paid it off,
revenue.
if you paid it off within that 1 year.
So we
you would have
wouldn't be
no.
fronting the 48. That would be over however many years of the agreement. If we made the first payment when it's due, I don't know when I forget when would allegedly start, but we would anticipate having the revenue to offset the balance before we made additional payments.
But again, we'd be paying interest on that. So why not pay it? And then whatever money comes in, and you can pay.
Especially if you're,
Technically, you probably can't, I don't know if this can be
Yeah,
a loan
especially if you're
arrangement,
planning-
but
especially if you're planning on doing it within a year, why take the chance of paying interest when?
why pay?
When if you're paying to the town, it's.
Yeah.
Really up to you guys, honestly.
Yeah, I
That was
think-
what was presented to Lori, so I wanted to make sure I had our bases covered, if that's what you wanted to do.
And I think our initial thought was we have some other big ticket items coming up there between ice chillers and parking lot paving and plaza reconstruction. And obviously with our fiscal budget, looking to dip into ARPA to offset some capital. We didn't want to unnecessarily deplete that, but we could also use,
It doesn't have to be opera.
we
I
could
mean,
use operational
Yeah,
funds because, you know, we're looking strong and gonna finish strong, it looks like, so.
And it's the short term, it's gonna be back, I mean, like you said, you're planning to be back there within a year, maybe, maybe shorter than that.
and
And
we,
just,
reasonable.
my whole thing is I just need.
you
them
need to be able to
ordered.
say, order it tomorrow.
I need to call
and-
tomorrow and be like, go ahead, order, and we're good to go. And so then,
So
My
you'd be
goal is to
signing
get them
a
for
purchase and
September.
sale instead of a lease agreement necessarily. So I mean, I personally would say, let's handle it in-house, but.
I
instead of-
agree.
And because we are probably gonna have to do some bonding down the road with some of the bigger
Yeah,
ticket
yeah,
items.
why do it on this? Why
Yes.
do it on this? It's a small, it's,
It's a
yeah,
small thing. Yeah,
it's a small term.
I would think that on the financing resolution, it would just be changing to an outright purchase and coming out of.
So can we just amend, can we just amend the resolution? Like
well, the
here,
first one, the first resolution is just
So
about
the se-
going with Scoreboard Enterprises.
for the second part, can we just amend the
Amend it.
resolution? Okay,
When we get there.
all right, I'm just,
Yeah.
well,
I just want to get the scoreboards.
well, no, because it says the funding for the yearly lease payment will be available, blah, blah. So you do have to amend the resolution a little bit.
But that's the same account we'd be paying for it right now, correct? Because that's the equipment line.
Just take out the word lease payment.
Okay.
Right.
Payment of
The funding
Funding for the
is
school.
available from the Civic Center account.
Okay.
Yes. So I would,
Eliminating yearly lease.
Okay.
So make a motion to.
Funding
remove
for the
word
payment
lease.
is available from Civic
make a
Center.
I make a motion to remove the word lease.
no, no,
You guys need to vote.
yeah, we,
Amend it,
no.
moving for the yearly lease payment. So we'll leave the funding.
but we already have a resolution on the table and it's been seconded, so we have to either,
Vote on that first.
Withdraw the, oh, wait, the resolution?
No, you made a motion and to authorize her to purchase them for new business 01. Mary Beth seconded it. You didn't vote on that yet.
Because we think we need to amend it.
I
Oh,
think
one.
we need
Wording,
to-
the wording in 01 is incorrect.
Oh, I thought it was 02. I
No.
apologize.
Yes,
Oh, one needs to be amended.
Okay, so I make an
Got it.
amendment.
Withdraw the motion.
All right, I make it,
Fine.
no, just
Amend
amend
the
it,
motion.
right?
Yeah.
Yep, and then,
Amended. But you have to move it as amended. You
Yep.
haven't amended it yet.
That's what I'm saying. We don't have to withdraw the motion. We can make a motion to amend.
Yep.
Then you have two motions on the floor. You already have a motion on the floor.
Okay,
It's
withdraw,
second.
I,
Withdraw the motion.
I make a motion to withdraw the original resolution.
second,
All in favor?
aye,
So now I'm going to make a motion to move the resolution forward with the verbiage.
Omitting the clause for the yearly lease payment. So the sentence should read, the funding is available from the
Correct.
Civic Center account 25005800.
correct,
Yeah, all that. That's what I'm gonna.
second,
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I'm gonna, oh, sorry.
okay. So resolution authorizing the financing of the acquisition of scoreboards through a lease purchase agreement in a principal amount not to exceed $48,105, authorizing the execution and deliver of a lease agreement and related instruments and determining other matters in connection therewith.
So no, we don't need to, we can just
we don't
take
do,
no
man,
action.
we have to do
entertain that
nothing.
one at all.
Yes.
So take no action on that right now.
Right,
No action.
make your phone call, Laurie.
Okay, perfect. All right, resolution approving the fiscal year 2024 budget for the West Warwick Civic Center in the amount of $758,963.
Move approval, go,
I second.
Moving second. Any discussion? Any public discussion on this budget? Hearing none. All in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, adoption of the fiscal year budget, 2024 budget to be presented to the voting public on May 18th, 2023.
I move the resolution, move the budget, the
Second.
adoption of the budget.
second,
Discussion. Kristen, if you might come to the mic for a minute. Just for clarification, what is the overall budget increase, tax increase? And I know it's hard to set the tax rate, but a guesstimate of where the new tax rate would be.
So I can tell you that the tax rate increase is approximately 1.6%. The levy is 1.46% because I've already got everything being reviewed. You want the dollar amount? I have to pull it.
It was 1833.
For the tax rate, yeah. So we're at 1804 and it was going to go to 1833. So 29 cents.
I'm glad you didn't take your shoes off to do that.
The brain hurts.
Yeah,
And on average of a $300,000 home, I have all those numbers. Give me 1 second. And again, this is going before the voters on May 18th.
yes,
Correct.
Does anybody have any questions for Kristen? Thought I had it right here, but
Do like 300 times.
26 cents.
$87.
$87, yeah,
No,
86.
Mark and I did it real quick. It was something like that, yeah.
Per year on a $300,000 home. So again, this is going before the voters on May 18th. If the town council adopts this budget tonight. Any other comments for Kristen? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request from the police chief for authorization to purchase 2 GTAC mobile data terminals in the amount of $13,996.
move the purchase,
A second.
Good evening. I'm just looking for authorization to purchase, as Sarah said, 2 GTAC mobile data terminals for our frontline police cars. We actually need 3. They're out of service, out of date. We actually borrowed 2 from a vendor who actually installs our mobile data terminals. We need 3. I'm only asking for authorization by 2 because I have an alternate funding source for the third one that we will get. So the total amount that I'm requesting is $13,996.
Any questions for the chief? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, request from the police chief for authorization to purchase training equipment in the amount of $15,418.72.
Move the request.
Second.
Chief?
Good evening. Again, as Sarah stated, I'm looking for authorization to purchase some firearms training equipment in the total amount of $15,418.72. Both of these requests, I'm looking to utilize federal drug forfeiture funds, so it won't come out of my budget and so-called taxpayer money. This particular request is related to the transition to our firearms that we undertook last year, which has been a great success. And this is to further our SWAT team, our tactical operations, our use of force training. It's going to help us have a better product. Our officers will be highly trained. The citizens will be safer, and our officers will be safer responding to, serious calls. As we all know, we see too often lately, especially mass shootings, and God forbid they're in schools as well. And we want to have the necessary training and tools to respond if, God forbid, something like that happened in our community.
Any questions for the chief? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Claim in the amount of $300 from Joseph Petracca.
Move the claim.
Second.
I only have one comment on this. This person's a frequent flyer here.
Wasn't this, was recent, this is not the same one, this is a different one?
No, this is a frequent flyer coming to town hall and filling out every claim.
Can you click the, I'm only have paper version here before I see the details.
Again, and Glenn, I know you wrote it up. How far down Bridle Avenue? Because isn't that where the junkyard is also?
Before the end of the room. There you go with flea market.
That's his.
Can you just go back up so I can read what the?
That's what he hit the
Yeah.
pothole and gouged his rim.
Oh, no, yeah.
That's
That's what it says.
again, this is a frequent flyer, so I'm asking the question. But one was a mirror, one was another pothole, and now another pothole. So we might, I don't know if we have record of every
I
one that this
don't-
individual had. But I remember
One
when,
within the last few months.
I remember when the mirror happened, I was in here when he collected the money and he walked outside kind of chuckling and went to his truck. And I can tell you right now, there was no way that was a $300 mirror.
If you look at the pothole, there was a pothole there. There's no question in that. But he said he did it,
Gouged his rim.
he said he did it pulling in to the airsoft, the flea market parking lot. There's no possible way he could have done it pulling in, pulling out, but not pulling in the way he wrote it up. Plus, he didn't get 3 quotes or anything.
No, and
Well, we-
again, I'm just saying, you can go however you want here tonight. This just seems like you might want to just check this name on.
Yeah, we denied it because there's no way he could have done it the way he said he did it.
Well, actually, it says because there's no backup and
Right.
there is an amount of 449. Obviously, 300 is the max. I actually did try to call this individual today to ask if he had any backup, and I was not able to get a hold of him. I don't remember. I'm sure you're right, but I don't
I
remember.
haven't heard a word from him since he put it in.
Do we have, is there I haven't had this come up before, is there an amount of claims that somebody can file in a year?
No, there isn't, but it's just, if somebody's taking advantage of it, first of all, look at the pothole, and this is a 21 GMC Yukon. That pothole is only 3 inches deep. The sidewall of his tire is over 3 inches.
Yeah, he
The
couldn't have done
rim's
it the way
over
he said.
6 inches, so he must have been driving sideways on Bridle Avenue. I mean, sideways on 2 wheels. Again, I believe this should be denied, but,
Oh.
and I know that's what they have it as. But we want to, Sarah, do we have record of everybody who files claims? Do we keep
Oh, yeah.
record?
Yep,
Can you
I'm not sure what the retention is, but I am gonna guess that we can go back at least 3 years on that.
It'd be in the minutes.
I'm
Should be in the
actually
minutes.
looking at the minutes right now.
The
Yeah.
last one was a mirror. I know that.
How long
Yeah, that
ago?
was September.
Within the last
21st
6 months.
I'd say without the last year.
Of 2021. I don't see any from
That long?
last year.
2021.
Yeah.
Was there one that was denied? Was there one that was denied since then, maybe?
It just,
Again, there's no, I thought, and I also thought we went away from needing three quotes. Didn't
We
we?
did.
Yeah, okay.
But
But,
again,
but there's nothing there. I agree.
The three quotes, I know we've been a little, sometimes there was one that we approved without three
I
quotes in the
think we
past.
said that, yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably overboard,
when it's a reasonable,
especially if that's what you spent.
right, when it's a
Right,
reasonable.
right.
Yeah,
I
if they come in,
agree.
I mean, what do we max it out? The max payment is only 300 anyway, correct?
Right, correct.
So no matter, all your quotes are probably gonna come in higher than that.
said he replaced it or what?
It does not. Yeah, that's wrong.
I mean, I want to see a new rim. I don't want to see an old rim on a car and give $300 for. Gonna live with the gouges and say I won $300 from the town.
Well, but that actually says that they're gonna seek compensation from another source, and that's not, I don't know that that's true. I don't know if they meant to do that, but the recommendation from Glenn is to deny it, and based on the fact that it's not complete, I would guess, I believe that's what we should do.
Any other comment? Have a motion to deny. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Proclamation of April 30th, 2023 through May 6th, 2023 is National Small Business Week.
Do I have to move the proclamation? I'll move the proclamation.
Second.
Moving second. Again, we get this yearly.
Yep.
Any questions on that? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as an alternate member for a 3-year term. Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as a regular member for a 3-year term. Board of Assessment and Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as a regular member for a 3-year term. West Warwick Housing Authority, appointment or reappointment for a 5-year term expiring November 2027. Public forum.
Public comment. Is there any public comment? Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Have a good night.